Hello and thank you for joining us on the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Binga Oreshegun. Today on the program, police announced restriction of movement in Lagos from 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday for local government elections. Supreme Court upholds Governor Okpebolo's election, dismisses Ighodalo's appeal for want of merit. And later on the show, Presidency replies. Boss Mustafa says Tinubu's role in Buhari's emergence cannot be erased. Well, I'll be hanging out with Paul, Dada and Kayode Ladende, while Babajide Kolade Otitoju joins us via Zoom from Abuja. Journalist Hangout starts right now. Now let's begin the conversation. Ensuring public safety and order is paramount during any electoral exercise, as the July 12 conduct of the local government elections in Lagos State falls under the spotlight. The State Police Command has announced a restriction of movement to facilitate a smooth and secure process. Now, the election is scheduled to take place across all 20 local government areas and 37 local councils in the state. So let's begin the conversation. The police have announced the restriction of movement in Lagos. In your opinion, how prepared are the security agencies ahead of the elections on Saturday?
Yes, it is what it is. That has been the mantra. That has been the that has been the style, you know. But for some of us who have actually covered elections in other climes, as close as Ghana, as far as United States, we look forward to our election not being restricted. You understand? You know, election in US, you go to your work, you do a lot of things together, but because of our attitude and sometimes our inability to innovate, we still want to do it the way we've been doing it. But just not to confuse people, there's restriction between 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. What that means is that technically speaking, the usual 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. is not the case. It's from 3 a.m., which means that they want to restrict movement. And why do we do this? Is to, you know, stop some form of electoral fraud, where some people will vote here. Back in the days, you can vote here and then you go there
vote somewhere else.
Vote. But with the card reader and some other equipment, we believe that this shouldn't have been the case. But it is the case because our people are fond of, you know, taking advantage of any lacuna in the process, because we don't have to go to tribunal to prove that you win or you lost.
Absolutely.
You know, it should be clear from the way it is. So no movement. Some have said, why not 1 p.m.? I said, by that 1 p.m., some people can quickly move to another police station and foment trouble or do some other things to disrupt the process. So it is what it is.
I mean, Paul, your thoughts on, I need you to weigh in.
Well,
the preparedness of the security agencies.
Well, like Kayode said, it is what it is. It's always been like that. Why one would prefer what happens in Senate climes, like he said, but we know that the history of Nigeria elections, even at that level, we've had cases of elections being mad or the process being disrupted via thuggery, ballot snatching, and all of that. It is what it is. However, while the security agents will do what they have to do, what I do not see happening is a massive voter turnout, because normally people are apathetic towards local government elections. Many people don't even know the candidates. I'm sure many of them did not even they did not even campaign.
But there's been campaigns.
No. You can't compare their campaigns with the way the people campaign for local government and all of that. I'm very sure a lot of people don't know their local government, their candidates. But people are going to vote based on party loyalty tomorrow. So I can tell you, even I know the party that will win, because we know the party that has this.
Remember, the ADC has spoken with the PDP, Labour Party.
That is not going to. Nothing is going to. That is not going to play. That is not going to affect tomorrow's election.
It's not going to affect tomorrow. Okay. All right. We have BKO joining us via Zoom. BKO, I need you to weigh in on this. The security agencies, they've restricted movements, and I also want you to also talk about your assessment on the readiness of LASIEC, which is the Lagos State Electoral Commission, especially in the area of timely deployment of election materials and personnel. Your thoughts, BKO?
Yes, we long for that day when we can have elections in our country without having to shut down our roads, without having to shut down business premises and all that. We can have elections which people can move around freely, even across local governments. It is testament to the unclean nature of our electoral process that up till now we still can conduct elections, including even local government elections, without shutting down the state literally. They don't want thugs to move around in buses, wielding machetes and threatening, putting the lives of voters in jeopardy. I can understand why they don't want vehicles to move around freely. Even in the general election, we see politicians trying to take advantage, packing thugs into buses and using them to disrupt voting in areas where they know they are not likely to win. The INEC regulation that says where voting is characterized by violence, results will not be turned in from those places, has been weaponized by politicians over the years. Politicians who realize that in some critical constituencies, they are not strong enough. In some critical wards and polling centers, they are not likely to win. They like to send thugs to those areas to disrupt the voting in such places so that no results shall be returned from those places. I've said repeatedly that there's a need for INEC to look at that regulation again. I do not think that we should continue this way, whereby we shut down everywhere because we are conducting an election. And even local government election, we are imposing restriction of movement. I believe that a time will come when our democratic culture will be strong enough and people will see elections for what they are. Elections are just like carnivals.
Yeah.
It's a celebration of the voters' power to remove or to put credible people in power. And those who do not serve the people truly, the voters have that power to remove them. So that is the day when voters show their power, exercise their power to remove governments that do not deliver the dividends of democracy to them. So it should be a day of celebration. I saw some scenes during the 2015 election in Lekki and other places where people were drinking beer, people were eating barbecue, just celebrating. It was a happy day to them and they were happy to show their joy. I believe that our elections should show such character rather than violence, vote rigging, ballot box snatching, disruption of polling, So when we get to that point, nobody will need to impose restriction of movement, And I also think that the time should come when we can vote without necessarily even going to polling centers. People should be able to vote even from the inner recesses of their homes.
Absolutely.
So talking about SIEC and its preparations, they've been doing this for years, and they know what it means to conduct an election in a state and in this state. So they know what it requires, and they've had the privilege of extensive notice. It's been such a long time that they've been talking about this election. everyone in Lagos knew that this election was coming. So I'm confident that SEC in Lagos State will rise to the occasion because they've had the benefit of sufficient planning, sufficient notice for the election. So in that respect, Lagos is a small place. The ballot material should be able to get to polling centers in good time because Lagos is not like some states that you need to travel like 6-7 hours before you get to some local governments. Cross River, Taraba, Kaduna, these are very big states. And because they are big, Niger, the biggest of them all, because they are big, there is always logistical hiccups, moving material from point to point. And we usually experience late delivery of ballot material. But for Lagos, the smallest state in our country by landmass, I do not envisage this kind of problem. So I expect that the election will go smoothly. And the most popular candidates of the various parties will carry the day. And to those who have said that this is a baptism of fire for
a litmus
the
test.
New coalition, ADC, I see some chest thumping that they are going to use the election to show that they have arrived. Good luck to them.
All right.
By 6 p.m. latest, we will know those who have carried the day, the election, whether it's ADC or APC, we will know.
All right, then. Let's move straight to our next convo. All right. Okay. I've not just been told to stay on this issue. Now, this election is going to be conducted from 6 a.m. At first, we said it was 3 a.m. It's 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. So
it's the restriction.
The restriction from 6 a.m.
Not 6 a.m. Not
6 a.m. Not 3 a.m. 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. But I just want you to also look at this issue. The impact of council administration in Lagos and also the peace accord for peaceful outcome. Your thoughts on this?
I think local government election, I was going to just jump in when Mr. Dada was talking about the level of campaign and mobilization. The little I've seen, I think is an improvement on the last one. Not that it is commendable in terms of mobilization, but nowadays we see traffic because people are campaigning. Some of our colleagues even went through that kind of traffic yesterday, today. That's to tell you that to a large extent, people are showing interest. Probably one of the reasons why they are showing interest is that there is more resources that should be coming to the top tier of government now to do a lot of work.
Absolutely.
Because in the past, we've seen a case where some of their responsibilities, I don't know whether the word is hijack or taken
by
over
the state governors.
by the state governors. But now we, a lot of things should go straight to the top tier of government. Following that Supreme Court
ruling,
will I even call it ruling because it has always been there, but it is still ruling. So I believe that whoever wants to go into local government administration now should think well. There's going to be more accountability.
True.
There's going to be more transparency. People can have access.
There should be transparency.
There will be, because journalists are going to know the amount that is allocated to you from FAC now. We are going to ask questions. What are you doing with this? And we should also sensitize the public to ask these questions from those people. So I want to believe that if people didn't know this before this election, this result that will produce the new set of chairmen and councillors, people should demand accountability. So I want to believe that it's a different ball game going forward since that Supreme Court judgment.
I mean, talking about this peace accord, we heard that the opposition parties are rejecting the peace accord. I need you to weigh in on this matter.
The question is, why would anybody want to reject a peace accord? For me, the peace accord is symbolical. Even without it, you should be able to maintain.
Because it has no legal backing. But on the moral ground.
Yes, that's what
the moral compass.
I don't know why they wouldn't want to do that. But everybody expects that there will be peace. I mean, that is what you want. That's our least expectation. Because you see, at that level, we have always said it that the local government is very, very important. The local government is very, very important, and all eyes are often always on the state and the center. But local government, it's very, very important. So I do not know why people would not want to sign a peace accord to say, okay, look here, we will make sure that we will ensure that what is happening tomorrow on Saturday is peaceful.
And we will play by the rules.
We will abide by the rules. So I don't know why they wouldn't do that. But whether they've signed it or not, but they should people should just ensure that they are not sending thugs to disturb the processes.
Okay.
They are not causing problems. We just want a fair, free election. We don't want people losing their heads or people getting maimed or people,
and also
being
the
killed.
people should trust the process so that they should come out and exercise their franchise.
The way it's always been with the local government. He said something. He said that there's a level of improvement, and that is true because even when I was coming today, I saw people campaigning actually, because people have always, most of the time, local government, who is chairman. In fact, you might sometimes find someone winning an election, local government election, in a place like, maybe some of the remote areas in Lagos, and when they get into power, they relocate to Aja. I know someone like that. I know someone like that on Aja or Lekki. But now, maybe because of these factors that he mentioned, the influx of more funds, maybe people are taking it more seriously. But I think that people should come out. People should come out, and vote.
Absolutely.
And trust the process.
Trust the process.
Yeah.
All right.